Hi, this is Kelvin Cheetle. The latest in my People Matter podcast series involves a musician who's been around for now 50 years, playing with bands like Earth, Wind and Fire, the Moody Blues, and most recently John Lodge. He's had his own solo career and more recently with his band One Nation. And here's a little clip of Alan's work with that band before we get down to a great interview with the amazing Mr. Hewitt. Take it away, Alan. So my guest today is musician, composer, writer Alan Hewitt. Alan, who most recently has been playing keyboards with the Moody Blues, John Lodge, Justin Hayward. And Alan, great to see you.
Great to see you, Calvin.
And fresh, or not fresh, tired, from a gig in London last night.
Yes.
How was that?
That was great, and your lovely wife played excellent flute.
I'm pleased to hear that. And how does it feel playing? So just for our audience, this was at a place called Union Chapel, which is a very old venue. What's the difference between playing those kind of older English venues compared to the more modern, kind of hockey stadium things you get in America?
It was actually really cool because, obviously it's an old chapel and I don't know if it's still a working chapel.
It is.
Yeah, and but they have it set up so you can the stage and nice sound system, and we brought in our own lights. And the difference is probably the space. There was a decibel limit, and other than that, it was a great venue. It was beautiful, the lighting and everything, and stuff. Seeing the stained glass windows. So the difference would be, and the places we play in America are more venues that are regularly have, groups. And so they're all set up with everything you need, and the stages are bigger. But that was a really great gig. We really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was great to see, and sold out to boot. So that's always good.
Yeah.
So, let's go back to the beginning.
Okay.
Quite a long time ago.
Yeah.
60 odd years ago. So you were born in Michigan?
I was.
Yeah. And was it a musical family or?
No, not at all. Sports, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad was a baseball player, really good baseball player, who was actually drafted by the Yankees. And of course, this is going back to the end of World War II. And he played with like Phil Rizzuto and Lou Gehrig and all those guys. So we were all supposed to be baseball players too, really. But I got the music bug around 12 or 13 and started out as a drummer. So at that point, my sports was taking a hit because I was practicing all the time on music. And so it was that's where it kind of got going.
And you said you were a drummer. Were you in a band? Were you just, practicing for fun? How did you?
Started out in a band with my friends. And our instruments were picked basically on who could afford what instrument. So the doctor's son was the keyboard player. And let's see, I don't remember who the two guitar players were, but then I picked drums, and my mom gave me co-signed for a loan so I could get a drum set. And then we just started going at it. But I actually got fired from that band.
What age were you when you first got fired?
13 or something like that.
Wow.
And that was the turning point because there was an older guy that took my place, and that's when I decided, okay, I'm gonna really go for this and focus. And from that point on, that's what I did. And then I started working with the older guys, so it was kind of a neat turnaround. But it was my best friend that fired me, so I don't let him get away with it.
That's
up
pretty
to this day.
Pretty brutal at the age of 13.
Yeah.
And at what point did you graduate to keyboards?
That wasn't until I was about 22, 20. No, yeah, right around there. At Berkeley School of Music is kind of where I started edging that way.
And was there a reason why you gravitated? Because I think I'm right in saying, right from the off, you were into the kind of prog scene. That was your interest.
I was really into the fusion.
Yeah.
Prague first, and then fusion, and I think it was I was leaning more toward composing. And when I was at Berkeley College of Music, my practice partner was Kenwood Denard, who was the drummer for Weather Report.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy was just amazing. And I just didn't feel that I was going to be able to catch up to the level that he was, and that he was my goal at that point in time. So he was a senior, I was a freshman coming in. But I ended up playing with all the guys that he played with, like Jamie Glazer and from who was a senior at the time in my school. And I didn't play with him till years later in the One Nation thing. So it's pretty cool.
Comes back around.
It is, yeah.
And so you were exposed to quite different styles of music quite young.
Yeah.
It wasn't like straight ahead rock or pop. It was all that stuff. And
it was actually the first kind of really cool band that I was in. I was about 16. It was called Rasputin. And that band was really cool. We had the keyboard player was really, really good. And this was before. Since we're just coming in. And then we were almost, it was like Emerson Palmer, and we did Tchaikovsky. We take Tchaikovsky tunes and make them into rock songs, into suites. And we all had hair down to our middle of our back, and we wore these caftans, and it was a really cool thing. Duffy, the guy who plays with John Lodge with me, the guitar player, knows he was around then, and he had a band, and we would always have play these festivals at farms and things like that. So it was really cool.
And at that point, which was the band that you modeled yourself on? You said ELP.
At that point, Emerson Palmer was NES and Genesis and Gentle Giant. Those are my 4 faves, I think.
All English bands?
All English bands.
Yeah.
Really into the English music.
Yeah.
And then Chick Corea and Return to Forever came around. And I went to go see them play. And that was pretty mind-blowing. And that's where I kind of wanted to go off in that tangent. Maybe not able to do it at that point, but that's where I was looking at.
And was this for fun, or were you doing it for a living? Was it commercial?
No, I made a living since I was 12. My dad would have to go to me at the bars because I couldn't play. You can't.
Yeah, underage.
Go and play, and so he would go to the gigs with me, and he enjoyed doing it, and it was a good way to kind of make money. It was actually a good way to learn how to handle stuff because I had to get equipment. I had my drum set, just so you know, Kelvin, my drum set was an Octopus, which is 8 toms on the top. It's a single bass drum, but then I had octobans, which drummers would know what that is. I had a marimba, I had a vibes, 2 gongs, 2 timpanis. So I had to carry all this stuff around.
It probably explains why when I see you set up on stage now, you're pretty cool about it because you've been there and you've done it and you've seen it all.
Yeah.
Basically. So you're in your 20s when you're playing, and is this around the Michigan area, or are you touring more widely?
I left around 19 and moved out to California, I had an offer to play with a band out there that was signed to MCA, and they did put out a record, but it was a one and done thing. But the ironic thing about that is that 20 years later from that point, I worked with the guy that signed them for MCA Records, and did several records for him. And we didn't even realize we had already worked because I was so young.
Small world.
But yeah,
so in California, you were with a different band?
Yeah, it was a band called Kid Brother out there, and then when that didn't happen, then I believe I moved back to Michigan for just a bit, and then to Florida, and started another band down there.
And were any of these bands getting record deals? Were you just gigging? Were you getting...
The Kid Brother did. They were on MCA.
Yeah.
And then there was just the band that we had in Florida was actually Duffy was in that, from the same guy I was talking about. We were on the road 2 years straight, but it wasn't necessarily. It was half original, half not. So you're just basically playing.
Yeah. And did you enjoy that kind of, the equivalent of playing the pubs and the clubs here in England? Did you enjoy that on the road? Was it fun, or did it become a chore?
I loved it for a while. I mean, it was like a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then it got to be not what I wanted, because I was really wanting to get back into, doing an original thing and getting, a label interested. At that time, it's different now, but at that time, labels were the main thing. They were like if you were...
A record deal.
Yeah, you wanted to get a record deal. You were, that was going to be your way to do your own music. And so every day, that was like I woke up, working on stuff and figuring out how that's going to happen. And so that was the process. But now it's totally different.
Yeah. We'll come up to date a bit later on.
Yeah.
So you were doing this through your 20s, by the sounds of it?
Yeah, that's like 20s.
And then what changed? When do you think you got your big break? Because later in your life you've done film, TV, commercials, that kind of thing. Did that stuff start happening then, or were you just you were a working musician?
Yeah, toward my late 20s, probably 26, 27, 28, around there. I started writing. I moved back to California, and this time I stayed. And I started writing for a lot of people, and that was because I had a development deal with A&M Records. And they hooked me up with Jane Weedland from the Go-Go's and Vince Ely from the Psychedelic Furs. And we had a good, it was just the vibe was cool, so they would introduce me to their friends and stuff. And then I started work. I wrote with Fee Waybill from the Tubes, and
you get what you regard as a big break. When does something big happen to you?
Well, like I was saying, I was starting to write for a lot of different artists, and Donny Osmond asked me to write a song for his second solo record, and so we did, and that got on that record, and that was kind of like just prior to that, I'd co-written Cherry Pie for Warrant.
Yeah.
And so those two things kind of got me on the map.
Which was a big hit.
Yeah.
A very big hit.
Yeah. And,
I presume Donny Osmond wasn't doing prog, yeah?
No, he was doing some really cool R&B stuff. Although the song that we did wasn't R&B, it was more of a rock thing. With actually the guitar player Phil from Def Leppard played guitar on it. Oh. Yeah. And then
so we're in the early 90s.
Yeah.
By this time, yeah.
Yeah, and then I started getting some TV work and composing music for TV shows. That was a really big turning point. and from that point, it was really, things were starting to really move along.
And tell us, because I've seen all your credits. Well, there's so many we can't go through. You've done movies, TV, Saturday Night Live, Dancing with the Stars, ABC Primetime, E! News Live, Good Guys, Naked Science, Dr. Oz, movies, Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason, a very popular movie here.
Grand Tour over here.
The Grand Tour, Happy Gilmore, Phenomenon, National Lampoon's Vanguard. I mean, so many things.
Yes.
How do those commissions work? Does somebody phone you up and say, we're looking for a soundtrack or a piece of music for this show? Do they commission you directly and you have to go away and create something in that style? How does it work?
There's a couple different ways. So there's one way is you'll get called from the agency and they would like to have you write for the specific cue, which a cue is like that moment in time in the thing, and then the other way is that you write for a library, and those songs get used in all kinds of different ways. So mine's 50-50 kind of. Basically, I would like say a film like Swimming Upstream, that was Jeffrey Rush and Judy Davis is in that. They want a specific style of music, and it was along the lines of Chariots of Fire kind of thing, because it was a sports movie.
Yeah.
Which was not easy to do because they want that idea, but you can't get anywhere close to it. So that was a little bit difficult. So you write to they send the video of what the section of you're going to write to, and you write to that. And it becomes kind of a neat thing when you're watching a video. You know what the tempo should be. You know where the cues should hit and where everything is supposed to go, or if it just needs to be the opposite and almost laps slow against a fast pace. So there's all kinds of ways you can go on it to make it work. So that's kind of how that developed, and it's really fun to do that because
and you're still doing that
right to picture
today, aren't you? You're still doing some of that stuff.
Oh,
today.
a lot, yeah, a lot, yeah. Still doing it. I just finished it's almost like an IMAX type thing. It was where you sit and the screens are all around you, and so you write for that piece of music all around that thing. It's really neat. You can do all kinds of things to make it cool.
And how do you, I find this really interesting. So how do you create something new and original? Because there must be a temptation, you were talking about Chariots of Fire, to kind of keep going back to, very, very famous kind of soundtracks and pieces of music, of which Chariots of Fire is one. Yeah. How do you make each composition original? Is that just all about the inspiration you get from watching the clip? Is it as straightforward as that? Or do you have to really go away and sweat this thing out?
Yeah, I think it can be a couple different ways. A lot of times the director will go, I'd like to have this type of music, and he's already put it in, which is called a temp score, and he's already put that music in against his piece. So you're kind of fighting what he's been listening to for months, or however long they've taken to edit this thing together. And then there's the ones that a director will say, well, we need something with a blue flavor to it, or just some abstract thing. And so that in that case, you almost have to ask some questions. Who do you like to listen to? What were you thinking in this? Where would you like it to go? So those are the two kind of different things that happen. Sometimes I like a temp score because at least I know what they're looking for, but then you're fighting against what they want to have that piece. So,
and have you ever had a commission where you really struggled to come up with something? Has there been a concept that you think, oh, this is really difficult to visualize, conceptualize?
Probably, but it's probably something that's bad, Yeah.
Yeah.
Because usually It's almost like you get this sixth sense about what should be there, and you're not right all the time, but when you do get right, it really makes the director feel confident that he's picked the right person.
And when you see the finished movie, TV show, and recognize your music, does that give you a kick, or have you done so much of it now that it's just...
That would, but usually people don't, they don't, I think, well, some of the film festivals that I the things that I've been in have won, and that's kind of neat when, just somebody recognizes it. But, it's funny how music and film and TV it's an afterthought, but you take it out and there's nothing there. I mean, all the emotion gets taken right out of it.
Yeah. And it's interesting how there's few examples of this. Current TV series use fairly old pieces of music that then suddenly come back. Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill.
Yeah.
Stranger Things being the classic example.
She's great.
Number one.
Yeah.
But no one, has bought her stuff in a few years. She's always been a bit of a cult. Suddenly she gets exposure on a TV show. It's the number one song again,
And didn't she do like a half a year or a really long stint at the over here at one of the places?
She did a tour when she first made it, and then had a long break, and then came back and did a few shows. But I think we'll have to ask her. She's not a natural live performer. She's really a recording artist, I think. But anyway, we'll try and do a podcast with Kate.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So I've got a whole list of albums here, Alan, and I'm so dedicated. I've listened to clips from all of them, and the first track I ever listened to of yours was Native Heart.
Oh yeah,
it's a really nice. So that, according to my list, is the first proper solo album.
Yeah,
you did.
Yeah.
So how did you get in? How did you get that deal? And how did you put that album together?
That was actually the thing that got me going in the right direction, because I was nothing was happening, and actually my wife Joanne said, just do what you want to do, and don't worry about any rules, because I was getting discombobbled with all the things that the record companies were telling me to do and stuff. So I did that, and I just kind of did whatever came through, and that was a good start, because I could use that for, here's this is what I'm doing now. Maybe I could do something.
Your calling card.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
And did that album do anything? Did it sell any?
It got signed to a label, and it's out there somewhere.
Yeah. It is, because I've listened to it. And I think that was 1996, and we'll come on to talk later about a band you formed, One Nation, which you did while you were with the Moody Blues, I think. But let's talk about Maurice White and Earth, Wind and Fire, which is one of your big achievements. So how did you get involved with that band? Very famous commercial band going since the 70s. How did you get involved with them?
How that came across is I was doing another project, and they heard that, and there was a commercial that came along from Japan. So I got hired to do that commercial for IW Harper, I think it's whiskey or bourbon or something like that. And it was a big time commercial, and there's like 20 Japanese people that came over, and they were wanting to do this and that. And it happened to be at Maurice's studio. So Maurice came in one day, and he heard what I was doing. He goes, I want you to work on our stuff. And so I moved my studio over to his studio, and
just in California?
Yeah, in Santa Monica. And worked with him for 5 or 6 years as a producer, co-writer, and doing keys. They had other people doing similar type things too. One of my good buddies was his engineer from the Millennial album, which is, I'm not sure when that was out, and so that didn't hurt either. Paul
and
Klingberg.
you were involved, I think, in their Greatest Hits album, because I've heard a reworking of September.
Yeah.
A great song
Yeah.
that you did.
Yeah.
So that must have been great fun working with them.
Yeah, it was. He was my mentor, really.
Yeah.
I learned a ton from him, and he's such a great guy. We have the same birthdays, and so and we were both into metaphysical stuff, so we'd go off on these, tangents where we go to channelers and all kinds of stuff. So Maurice was a great guy, and unfortunately he had Parkinson's, and that's what ended up taking him.
Yeah.
But he that album that you're talking about it's called Mega Mix at the time.
Oh yeah.
Remember Michael Jackson had that Mega Mix?
Yeah.
So everybody was doing them. So that's what I did with them, and then I did I don't know, 5 or 6 of their.
I've got Spirits Rising.
Spirits Rising is with Beyonce.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
The Promise.
Yeah.
Mega Mix and the Greatest Hits.
Yeah. Some of them were just keyboards. Some of them were producers. Some of them were. It was just like I was all over the map working with everything.
Fantastic.
And then we did a bunch of records for Sony and Atlantic in Japan, because he's just loved in Japan. Earth, Wind and Fire is.
But they want to come on and talk about the Moody Blues. They're one of those bands that everyone kind of likes at least one of their songs somehow, because they're a universal appeal. September. They're
still great.
Everyone loves September, don't they?
Yeah.
It was a great song. So let's get fairly up to date. So I remember meeting you in Florida.
Yeah.
When you were, I think, auditioning, or you'd just been auditioned to be the Moody's keyboard player.
That's not where we first met. We met in Philadelphia.
Was it Philadelphia?
Yeah, remember I had that that whole bowl of, what were they called?
Profiteroles.
Profiteroles.
Yeah. Now, you got a better memory than me. You're right. But I knew you had, I'm conflating you had done an audition with the Moody's before you joined. But I think you knew Justin Hayward before. So
I never actually did an audition.
So tell us how you met Justin. And then I think there was quite a long gap, and then how the call came for the Moody's in, I think, 2009, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it is. And I'm not sure of the dates, but it was back when LA riots were. And my management was Justin's management, and he just wanted to, hang out with somebody. And so my manager said, well, I got the right guy for you. And so we just started hanging out. And I was actually working on this album, Rebuild LA. Bob Ezrin was in charge of it. But I had a little sailboat. I lived in the marina, and
Marina Del Rey.
Yeah, Marina Del Rey.
Yeah.
And we would he'd come down, we'd go out on the sailboat, and and then come back, he'd sing backgrounds on something I was working on, or we'd just hang out. So I got to know him there, and
so this is mid-90s, probably.
Yeah, I think 91 or 92. I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And they were recording, or I can't remember what they were doing, why they were in Los Angeles for so long. But so that's how we first met, and then of course, fast forward, what is it?
15 years.
15 years. Yeah. I think my manager gets called. Would Alan like to, is he going out on tour at all? Because I put a stop to going on the road, because I was doing very well the film and TV stuff, and once you leave, it goes away. And I at the time was that'd be great. And so I met with their agent, and who's a friend, and
Robert Norman.
Yeah, Robert Norman.
Yeah.
And he gave the approval to go ahead, and then the process started where it's basically a recorded audition where I would rearrange some of their stuff for them, and there was other guys too. I think the guy from Pink Floyd, the second keyboard player, and the guy from Billy Joel, I think they were also in the running. And then finally, a couple of weeks went by, and they called and they said, we're starting here. This is where the tour starts.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know from Norda Mullen's experience, she had 3 weeks to learn every song. Yeah. Was that the same for you?
About the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't get a rehearsal. I didn't only got half of a sound check.
Wow.
But I did work a little bit in advance with Justin, like for a day. And then you're expected at that level. You're expected to come in and know your stuff.
But I mean, obviously, everyone will know the Moody Blues. They are a very keyboard heavy band because it's very lush orchestral mellotron synths. I imagine there's a lot of programming in their stuff. So presumably you have to program all that in and know what you're playing when and how.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's
it must be a big
pretty funny when the tour manager calls and said, "How many keyboards do you think you're going to need?" And I said, "Well, I think I need 11." And he goes, "Good luck with that." So we ended up with 4 motifs, which I can split. I can split the motifs into 3 different things, and then a mellotron. It's called a memotron, but it's a digital mellotron with the Abbey Road sounds, and then I used a Turia. That was would cover the stuff that Patrick Moraz did, with all the ARP and the 2600s and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what I ended up with. It worked beautifully, and that's how we did it.
And you talked about your early influences were prog bands, ELP, Genesis, yes, Gentle Giant. The Moody's I don't think aren't really a prog band. They're kind of symphonic rock, whatever you want to call it. They're slightly more mainstream. Yeah. Were you a fan of their music in the same way, or was it a bit more middle of the road for you?
Well, I thought they were, really, I liked their stuff. Of course, you couldn't get away from it, really. It was like, especially in America, the songs were on all the time. And my brother, who is older than me, that's his band.
Yeah.
So it was really kind of cool to he was the first guy I called because I knew he would be really happy about it.
Yeah. Did he come see you on the first tour?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple times, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thrill. So I know from knowing the band fairly well that it's not only the technical ability, but it's the hang, as you guys call it, which for the uninitiated means chemistry, how things work between people. Yeah. So what was the hang like?
Great. It was like, especially for the first couple of years, it was great. We all we'd go out to dinner together, and it was really great. Then things change. It's just like any work. People get tired of each other and everything. But I have nothing but good memories of the time that I was there, and it was a really fun time. It was fun. Norda was great, and Gordy and Julie, all having. Basically, we were the core, the band.
Yeah.
And so it was really nice because we all got along good.
Yeah.
And that made all the difference in the world.
Yeah. And, obviously you're doing lots of... the Moody's were still, for the people that don't know, even when you joined, they were still a big draw. They were selling out 5, 8, 10,000 seaters, even though they weren't recording new stuff. And... I think as the band developed, Justin and John both decided to do solo things while the band was still running, probably winding down gradually. Yeah. And you did Justin Hayward's first solo tour, I think I'm right in saying, with Mike Dawes and Julie and that was it. That was it. And what was that like, going from a big sound of the Moody Blues and a big setup and to a much more intimate thing?
It was a totally different thing for me, and that kind of derived from Dolby. He died, and they asked Justin to do his funeral up, and it was with the San Francisco Symphony. So I got asked to do the orchestration for it was 5 or 6 songs, that some of the members from San Francisco Symphony were playing. I think there was 14 string players, and we did that. And I think he enjoyed doing a quieter type thing without drums, and I think that was really the offshoot of his solo kind of thing. And he just I think he likes to do a little bit mellower thing. And it totally was different for me.
Yeah, I bet.
But it was interesting to do. And then, of course, John, his is more like the Moody's, but a little, I would say a little bit rougher. What would you say?
Slightly
a little
rockier.
bit more edge.
Yeah. So
to it.
I was just going to come on to that. So you did that tour, Justin. Then John decides to do a solo album and then a solo tour. And I think I'm right in saying he asked you to be his main man. You were his, his music MD. It's called musical.
Yeah.
Great accolade. I mean, how did you feel about John coming to you saying?
It was kind of a gradual thing. It was why we were all playing, because I was doing things with Justin, and then John he started to ask me to just kind of write. So he wrote a bit. You have a little bit of time when you're on the road, and you do that when you're not sleeping, and so it kind of gradually moved into that he decides, I want to do this album. Would you work with me on that? And I said, yeah, sure. And that was that 10,000 Light Years one.
Yeah. Which I think has got some really good stuff on it.
Yeah, that was kind of fun to do.
And how much of that is John and you helping him realise his ideas, and how much is you, I suppose?
We did a lot of that together. I mean, I did co-write some of it, but he had a lot of input. He's got his certain way that he likes to do things, just as Justin does.
Yeah.
Justin's got more of he's got a certain thing that he would like to have, and hear. And John would be a little bit more open to let it go in certain directions.
Yeah.
So that's kind of...
There's different styles, you can tell.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the Moody's was still rolling on at this time, and then you were doing the cruises.
Yeah.
The Moody Blues cruises, which were great fun. And then they get inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. And you and Norda are there.
Yeah, that's fun.
Not many musicians have been inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Pretty cool.
Or been part of it.
Yeah.
Tell us about that evening. My lasting memory is John Bon Jovi doing a speech for about an hour and a half.
I know it. Yeah, you were there. That was a great night, and we got to, talk with a lot of up in the green room. Of course, all Ann Wilson and
you knew Ann, I think, from before, didn't
you? But she wouldn't have remembered because I was probably only 19, and we were at the same studio, and I was just watching.
Right.
But she's great. And prior to that, what happened is we, that final tour was Days of Future Past, remember?
Yes.
And then we put that together. Justin worked with a conductor on that, and then I did some things with them, and we took that out, and that was actually doing really well. And then we get inducted in the they get inducted into the Hall of Fame, and then it just stopped.
Well, it's not, and then very sadly Graham Edge died, didn't he? So I mean that appears to be very much the end of the end of the road. Oh yeah, sadly the Moody's wound down. Graham Edge died, and that appeared to be the now coffin literally of the band. Sadly, but John Lodge has carried on, and you've done other things with him. You're on a UK tour at the moment.
Yeah.
What's the main difference between touring in the USA, your home country, and touring here, apart from the roads? What's the biggest difference?
Well, there's the vehicles, probably the where you stay, expense. It's very expensive over here to tour. For us, and it's probably the same for an English, band to come over and
because of the gear and the rest of it.
Yeah, just the unfamiliarity. But I've done how many? how many Moody's tours did we do? 3 Moody's and 3 John tours here. So I'm pretty familiar with everything. I feel comfortable here, and I know what to expect. So if you know what to expect, it's great. I mean, it's beautiful over here. I love it, and it's really nice. It just different. Seems like you don't get. Yeah, it seems like I don't get as much downtime to rest here as I would in the USA. Probably because I know.
Just be familiarity.
Exactly.
Be different.
Yeah.
And you played with the Moody's. You played the O2.
Yeah, that was a great
arena. Do you enjoy those big venues?
I do. I like the big arenas. So I like the small ones too, but I like that was one of my top. I like that.
What's the biggest gig you've ever played in your career?
Let's see. Well, I did one when I was younger for 100,000 with a band that I had in Chicago. It was called Alan Hewitt in '88, and that was at Soldiers Field, which is the big football stadium there. So that was the biggest thing. But we did one with the Moody's. It was 30,000, and Red Rocks was cool.
Yes,
that was 10.
Yeah,
and they're right on you.
Yeah,
and of course there's pots, all over the
For
place.
English people who don't know, it's a natural amphitheatre in the rocks, isn't it?
In Colorado,
amazing,
beautiful.
Amazing venue.
There's probably been some other. The Hollywood Bowl. What was that about 12.5?
I think it may even be 15.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool too.
And that was with an orchestra when you did those. That was an amazing gig. Yes,
that was really neat.
Yeah, just to very briefly name drop, I was at that gig, as you know, and I was in a. For people who don't know, in Red Rocks, their boxes are like little partitions out in the middle of the seating.
Yeah.
And I had a guy next to me who was absolutely loving it, and he heard me talk in an English accent, and anyway, found out that I was married to Norda.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, what do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a movie producer." And I looked at him and I thought, "Of course you are. You're Quentin Tarantino."
Yeah. Yeah.
And on the face of it, you wouldn't think Quentin Tarantino would be a Moody Blues fan, but just go show they're a band with wide appeal to whole lots of people across generations. Quite amazing, really.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, he was a really cool guy.
Yeah,
just hanging out there on his own and
very nice.
Yeah.
So you've been doing a side project with a band called One Nation.
Mm-hmm.
Alan Hewitt and One Nation. So it's your band. I've listened to that album, Evolution, I think.
That was the first one. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's in that what I would call, Genesis jazz rock mould. And the track We Are One Nation, it's this kind of big anthemic song.
That one's called 2021.
Yeah.
And then, Evolution is more, probably more instrumental.
Yeah.
And tended to be more like Mahavishnu Orchestra and stuff like that, influences.
And is that the kind of stuff you like to carry on doing, or at the moment you're just happy with John and your film work? I mean, what do you want to do in the future? You're still a young man, Alan.
Well, as I'm sure everybody knows, has made an album. It's like giving birth, so it's it's always, you have to be prepared to take that on. So I do have an offer from a label to do another One Nation record, which I'd love to with the guys that I'm playing with, because we're friends, and we kind of did it all together, and they would do. I'd write everything and kind of do the stuff, but then they would put their own takes on it and put their parts in, and it was enjoyable doing that. So I may, that's the plan, to keep, to do some more of that. And then of course I'll keep going with John, and then the film and TV is a continuous thing.
Yeah.
And really that's kind of my main priority.
Yeah. And just for those people who haven't seen you play live recently, I was at the Union Chapel gig last night. I mean, you are a mini orchestra. And particularly with Dave Future Past, you're playing all the orchestral parts, the mellotron, the synths, all out of 2 keyboards. So you've come down from 11 to 4 to 2. And that includes all the mellotron sounds, but it still sounds, so on Tuesday afternoon, nights in White Satin, The Voice, you've got all those original Moody sounds. It's very authentic. And I get the sense that's very important to you, to make it sound exactly as it should.
Yeah, in certain respects, I like to put my own spin on it, because the mellotron's really cool, but it's really a hard instrument to get to sound right.
Yeah.
And if you're doing strings with strings, it really behooves you to try to get close to strings as you can. I have a bank of synths over on my left side too that I tie into, that I control from those keyboards. So it takes an army of that stuff to make it sound what we had to do with this thing.
Yeah, I can imagine you spent. I mean, how long did it take you to program in all the Days of Future Past stuff? It must be weeks of work.
You mean when I did the album, or
this tour? With John.
Yeah. So first of all, I did the album. And that took about 4 months to do all that symphony over again, but not have a symphony. So I had one cello that I used our cello player, Jason, to do a lot of the cello parts. And then the rest was all on all my plugins that I use for all, my film and TV stuff.
Yeah.
Which I have to say it worked out great, and it just takes time to do it that way, and so a lot of those things you can sample. Like if there's a big, there's a big area where you need the strings to envelope and get big, then you can sample those, and you can pick keys on your keyboard to use those as accents while you're playing the other part. And then for the soft bits, you can, there's all kinds of different legato strings that are, soft strings that you can make that work out too.
I think the best compliment I can pay you is a woman who sat the row behind me said, it's quite amazing. You can't even see the orchestra, she said. Of course, there isn't an orchestra. It's you and the band and Duffy and Jason and
it
Billy
helps to have Jason, that live cello player.
Yes.
It just gives it that edge, because the synth strings can sometimes be a little too smooth.
Yeah.
And he adds to that, and then Duffy would do, like for instance on Sunset. There's a part where I'm doing the theme, do 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 do, and he's doing a dun 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 dun, which is like just pizzicato strings.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. And so you if you kind of think about it, you can do it. And Billy is great with the percussion. He would do the cymbals, like where there's chimes and stuff. There's all kinds of ways that we were trying to figure out how to make this work.
It's for 5 guys, it's a big sound.
Yeah.
It's a big sound. It's very impressive.
It's fun.
So you've got, I think, 2 or 3 more shows on this tour with John. I think you're doing Bristol, Guildford, Birmingham, I think.
Those 3 shows.
Then back to lovely Joanne and America.
Yeah.
And then you start thinking about your next project.
Yeah, then we have July. We'll go back out on tour with John the 19th of July and into mid-August. And that's, the U.S. again.
Yeah. And the rest, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll just
who knows?
Pan out when it pans out, right?
Alan's great to see you. You
too, Calvin.
Really great, interesting career you've had. And I'm sure people who've listened to your music over the years, love your stuff. So thank you for your time.
All 3
today.
of them.
All 3 of them. I think you can add a few zeros. You can add a few zeros to that. Great to see you. Take care.
You too, Calvin. Thank you.